Welcome to Girl She Did That podcast with Bree and Sandyyyy. Hey, Bree.
Hey, Sandy.
How you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you today?
I am doing great.
Good.
Great.
That.
Would you like to give the people the theme song?
That's what they came here for.
Yes. That's, yeah. Uh-huh.
Welcome. Welcome back to Girl She Did That. Welcome back. Yeah.
All right. Girl, She Did That. So we are at episode number 8. And what are we talking about today?
So today we are going to be talking about, girl, you knew better. Basically talking about red flags.
Red flags.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, let's get into who we honoring today.
So we are honoring Sierra. Oh, round here we rise slow. We keep it dirty, you should know.
You silly.
Yes. So we are honoring Sierra because although she has a beautiful family, and we are so excited and we love the prayer, with her manifesting Russell and Russell coming in and taking care of her son, all that good stuff. But we have to point out that there were red flags with Future when Sierra got with him. And she also has told us, identified what those things were. So just kind of, we're honoring her for recognizing the red flags and moving on to something bigger and better. Because oftentimes people just feel like they can't move on once they're in a situation, especially when they bring a child into this world. And it's, things happen and, sometimes your life isn't ideal in a season. But if you truly know what you deserve, you will eventually get it.
Yeah.
If you stay steadfast in what you believe in and what you deserve. So we honor you, Sierra.
We honor you, girl, because, girl, you are a girl that did that.
Yeah. You did that. You moved on. And you did that,
Yeah, you did that. Okay, can we talk about Angie Stone dying? Because I can't.
My sunshine.
I am, sad. Really?
Oh,
Angie Stone. Bree, what's wrong with you?
My girlfriend.
Bree.
Oh my girl. Ooh. Oh no. Oh.
The Lord he is just taking the folks up out of here.
The rapture.
He is taking the folks out of here. I can't believe Angie Stone is gone. Somebody checking on D'Angelo, because y'all know I love D'Angelo.
What?
Whew, D'Angelo. I love you, D'Angelo. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my Lord.
Your fan. I don't think he knows how much you love him.
What? When I say I went to his concert and he pointed at me, baby. I got a whole husband. But oh my God, D'Angelo. I listen to Angelo every day. I don't go a day without listening to D'Angelo. And do you know, in his first and his second CD, Angie Stone sung backup for him.
Ain't that how they met?
I don't know if that's how they met, But you know, she was a part. She collaborated, especially the Brown Sugar album.
Oh, what was up, young Brown? Oh, somebody call and check on that man.
Oh Lord, I can't believe Angie Stone is gone, y'all.
You, man, broke me down.
Bro, I'm about to spit this drink out. Big boy.
Oh, what goes around comes around.
That's it.
What goes up must come down.
Must come down. Strong brother, black brother. You know what I'm saying? Ooh.
There's no other.
No, there's no other. Angie Stone is gone. Oh my Lord. Okay.
That's really bad.
Okay. I do wonder what red flag she saw with D'Angelo, though. I do wonder that.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we honor you, Angie.
We do.
Really, I sing Girlfriends at least once a month. Randomly. Maybe twice a month. That's a really good theme song.
She wrote that theme song?
I don't know if she wrote it, but she sang it.
She did?
It sang to the word.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. My Lord.
Exactly. Yeah, Angie did her thing while she was here. She did.
Oh, my goodness.
But anywho, we'll move on to that moment. Okay.
Yeah, you done passed all out and all types of stuff.
Because, when I got that news, I was like, Angie who?
Right.
Not Stone? I wish I didn't miss you anymore. Okay. Ooh. That actually was a good song.
That was a good song.
You know,
Oh. Okay.
For real.
Okay, so we're talking about, girl, you knew better.
You knew better.
The red flag. Red flag. Okay, first question. Why do you think it's so easy to overlook toxic patterns when you're in the middle of it?
I mean, because I'm in the middle of it. What? What's going on?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that it's necessarily easy. I think that as humans, we seek companionship. Yes. And I think that overrides the toxicity. And I think that we also have to think about, like, we have to think about our personal stories from our friends, our parents. I mean, the list can go on, that sometimes the toxicity can look very similar in other people's relationships. Mm-hmm. So when it shows up in yours, you're like, oh, like, this is just kind of a part of being in a relationship, right? So I think that it's difficult, and it's also, toxic traits and situations are different in every relationship. And sometimes I feel like you don't always face the same toxic stuff in every relationship. Right. If you get into multiple relationships. But I think that it really just stems from, honestly, your childhood and what you have learned, and what you did, what you needed to do to survive in that situation. I think that it kind of just manifests in relationships. So I think that sometimes toxic traits and toxic situations end up being overlooked because it's familiar.
So familiar as in, like, trauma familiar?
It doesn't necessarily have to be trauma. I think it's just, patterns. Like you said, like, I think that if you grew up in a passive aggressive household, it wouldn't be foreign for you to be in a passive aggressive relationship.
Yeah.
Right? You'll gravitate towards someone who is passive aggressive. You know, you would think that someone who always wanted to tackle things and address situations, you might feel attacked, or that will make you uncomfortable. So you may not necessarily gravitate towards that person. You might feel like, oh, they're too confrontational, or they think they're better than me, or they think that they're smart, they're arrogant. You know what I'm saying? You'll misidentify the characteristic because of your own stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's how sometimes people get into toxic situations unconsciously, because they gravitate towards the things that they know, just like the good things. You know, you know that you're a person who likes flowers. So if somebody gives you flowers, you know, that's what you're used to. You're used to receiving flowers. But if someone gives you side comments, you know, and you grew up in a household where, you know, you weren't complimented often, or if you were, it was very like slighted. You know, you would be used to that. You wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't be an alert for you, because that's what you're used to. You're used to not being complimented, or you're used to just grabbing whatever compliment you can. So even if it's not with the best intentions, you're like, oh, they still complimented me. So,
okay.
What do you think?
I think you said it all, baby. I think you said it all. Well, I mean, I think a lot of factors going into that. Like, if the sex is really good, right? Most people don't want to talk about that because you become D-dumb. You know what I'm saying? So you don't, you know, yep,
Digmatized.
Yeah. Well, my mother's listening to this, so I wasn't gonna say that, but
Mine's too. Gina Graham.
I think that's a big factor that plays into overlooking it, because if the sex is bomb, then yeah, you not paying attention to none of the red flags, because that overshadows a lot of that, right? And I think as women, we don't want to talk about how good it may be, or what that experience is like, for the shame that surrounds it, right? Especially if you're not married, or you're Christian, or you have certain religious or spiritual beliefs, you kind of want to hide that, you know. But we all sin, right? That's something that we all do. It's just,
for sure,
no sin is greater than the other one. But when you have a physical, intimate relationship with somebody, especially for women, you have not only an emotional connection, it heightens the connection even more. Right. And so you don't you tend to overlook those things because the sex is good.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that along with that, I think that it impacts your nervous system. You know, you're willing to do anything for that closeness again.
Sure.
Right? So whether you got your point across or not, you're like, at the end of the day, I got him. He mine. You know, at the end of the day, like, we're still together. We're still an item. Right? But the quality of that relationship, the quality of that marriage is starting to slowly but surely go down. Right. And I think that sometimes people end up breaking up or getting a divorce or whatever the case may be. And they're like, well, how did we get here? And I'm like, it's always the little things.
Yep.
You know, when you don't know how to repair a relationship, an argument, that ends up just being unresolved stuff that floats in the air.
Right.
You know, or even if you sweep it under the rug, at some point you're gonna trip over it because there's a hump in your carpet.
Right. It's real high.
It's not smooth. Yeah,
it's high.
At some point you're gonna have to go around it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like, ooh, that almost got in the way of the D. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that that's the thing, is that, like, when we are in relationships, it's difficult for us to see the toxic trait, especially when you have, a perfect example is sex. When sex is involved, it's like, I'm going to end up having to quote unquote advocate for myself and let somebody else get him, myself is not that important. And that's essentially what we're saying to ourselves, is that we are not important enough to get what we deserve.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, we think sex is going to keep that person. Right? If I give it to him often, then he gonna stick around. Right? For sure. But no, it's other people that he having sex with too. So it's not like it's just you. It's just you again having, these red flags. Sometimes they're not even red flags. Sometimes it's right in your it's right in your face. And you just like, you know what? I'm just gonna avoid it, ignore it, and this is what I'm gonna do. Until you get fed up with it. But
correct. What are some red flags you've ignored in past relationships, and what did you learn from them?
Okay, what was some red flags I ignored in past relationship?
And what did you learn from them?
Okay, so some past red flags is, one, not spending quality time with the person. The lack of communication. The lies. I got 3 pet peeves. 2 really. Laziness and lying. I can't stand lying. That lying thing just bothers me to my soul. But the reason why I ask questions.
What's the third one?
It's really 2. It's really 2. Oh. The third one is more for like my job, but that doesn't matter here. But the second one is the lying. The reason why women ask questions is because they already know the answers to the questions.
For sure.
Right. So knowing that you lying to my face, and I'm still like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just take it back. I think what I learned from those things was my value. Right. When somebody wants to spend time with you, they value you as a person. Right. When someone is an open book and wants to tell you everything about their life and put everything on the table, they value you as a person. And again, I didn't learn all of that stuff until I really met my husband, my husband now. When we started dating, he wanted to spend all the time. I had never dated somebody that was like that. Like, well, what you doing tomorrow? Or what you doing the next day? Like, man, he must really like me. He's supposed to spend all this time with me. That's crazy. Or communicating with me throughout the day, even now, that has not changed. He will find a way to some way communicate with me throughout the day. I've never had that. And so when I learned what it was like to be valued in a relationship, to say, hey, I really like you. I really want to get to know you, and I want to get to know you beyond the physical realm. Like, that's, I think, what I've learned the most about those red flags, because if I see them, I'm out, and fortunately for this relationship, I didn't pick any of those things up. I didn't pick any of those major red flags up. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I have some similar ones too. I mean, I think that when it comes to lying, I'm more so lying by omission is my problem. I think that because if you lie to my face, I have information I can collect, and eventually I'm going to do the math.
Right.
And I'm going to realize, like, oh, this isn't adding up. But when someone is not telling you something that you need to know, now I'm not aware at all of what is going on. Like, you could be living 2 different lives.
Right.
Right. And I have no knowledge of it. Right. Versus I know you're lying because I saw the person, I talked to the person, whatever, like just an example.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're just lying to me, and like And I'm like, hey, like I see text messages, I see, I have evidence, right? Because I've done the math. And I realized, like, okay, like you're just lying to my face. Like at some point, like you just are playing in my face versus you're now being more strategic.
Right.
You're being smart.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Because it eventually is going to come to the forefront.
Right.
But it's going to take longer. Right. And now my feelings are more involved because something that I could have found out in 3 months, I might have had to take a year and a half.
Right.
Right. So I think that with lying definitely is something that bothers me, but more so lying by omission. Right. Yeah. And honestly, like lying is not, I know why people lie because, you want to control the narrative and what people do. So, but I think it's just that particular type of line that really bothers me is that like I could be the happiest girl in the world with you and me finding out, however, that like you have a whole nother situation going on is devastating.
Right.
Versus me figuring out on my own and addressing you and then you're lying to me. I'm like, okay, like this is an easy cutoff. Like it's whatever. But we could have like came from vacation and like,
right.
Because it's always at a peak happy place where like somebody come in or some information come in and it's like, what is this? Type of thing. And you're like, oh yeah, like now you have to go down the whole rabbit hole of what's been going on while you've been in happy land. And it's like, and now you have to figure out what you're going to do with it. I think another red flag that I've discovered. So it's funny that you said that, if you put it all out on the table, people knowing what's going on. I actually feel like that's a red flag. I feel like sometimes
you put it all out on the table.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like people will put stuff out on the table to control a narrative.
Well, even in that though, you got to know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I first started dating the husband, he put everything out on the table. Okay.
Not the husband.
The husband. But one of the questions I asked him very early in our relationship was, how did you contribute to your divorce? Right. I don't really care about what happened with her. I mean, as far as what she did or how, but how did you contribute to this, demise in the relationship? And he was able to walk me through that. And I'm like, okay. Ooh, I ain't never had man to have some insight into what he had done, right? Not something he had done as like cheating, but like not spending time, not being consistent, just thinking, becoming complacent, in the marriage, not valuing what he had essentially, right? And so he was able to walk through that, which taught me like, oh, so it's actually men in the world that actually got insight into their stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like grown men, like he was able, like I said, he was able to walk through that. So I went into the situation or into the relationship wanting to ask more questions because I had never done that before. Right? Just being too timid or too scared to really know exactly everything. Right. But I think at that time we was in COVID, so I had all the time to grow, right? And to formulate questions that I wanted to ask the next person. If I wanted to get into something serious, like a lot of people, I know people hated COVID, but for me, it really grew me up, like mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I was able to do a lot of work on myself during that time because I wasn't ripping and running and doing stuff. We couldn't. We had to be in the house, Yeah. And I was by myself, so I had a lot of time to process and think and figure out what it is I wanted to do better. And in that particular phase of my life, I was like, I got to ask more questions because if I don't ask questions, then I'm not gonna know. You know?
Yeah. And one last thing is that a red flag that I've noticed in past relationships is that to resolve unresolved issues. Like if we can't move forward, we can't move forward. And being steadfast in that versus being like, okay, like it's all right, like we'll be fine. No. Like we need to figure this out. Like don't like that you do this. You don't like that I do this.
Right.
We got to figure out, can we move past this, or is this a deal breaker? Because it could be a situation where it's like, hey, I'm not changing that about me. I'm not changing this person. I'm not taking this person out of my life because you don't feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
We have to figure out what are we doing?
Right.
You know. So I think that that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in my past relationships is that I want a man who knows conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Like that's very important to me because I don't want us to go to bed and like now my brain is going. And I'm like, you know, that little thing ends up piling up and now it's a big, like now I got a laundry list of things.
And it's unsettling.
Yeah.
Right. But you brought up something the other day about being easily yoked. Right. And but I got a scripture last night that said basically you need to rest. Like there's no reason why you and God should both be up in the middle of the night. Right. Because he is already working it out and what you doing up. You need to rest your mind, your body, so you can continue to fight. He's already fought that fight for you. So
yeah, that's interesting because usually people be like, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you need to be going in the closet and praying. Like no.
So I had the same thing. Like that's what I grew up with. But after talking to somebody very wise last night, and she brought that scripture to me, and I was like, oh, so wait a minute. So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm wrestling with something, I should be sleeping, essentially, right? I should truly be letting God figure out whatever it is that I handed over to him and not go back to it.
Correct.
Right? He has created this time and this space for me to rest, to keep on going, to fight in his word. So why am I up?
Correct.
You know?
That never sat well with me. Like I've heard many people say that. Many women say that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that don't sit well with me because like if I'm up at 3:00 in the morning praying for an hour and I gotta be at work at 7.
Right.
Which means I gotta be up by 6, 5:30. I'm gonna try to go back to sleep for 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's also like I'm waking up for a reason. And it may not necessarily be to pray. It may be, and even if it is to pray, it's to have a quick prayer of like, okay, we need to calm it down. Like you are doing a lot, and this is not the life that God has called for you to be this stressed out. Like relax, relax. Whatever is going to be is going to be.
That's it.
You have no control over that. So go to, but you know what you do have control over? Taking your ass to sleep.
Right.
So go to sleep. Go to sleep. Oof.
Exactly.
Next question.
Okay. Oh, that's on me? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
This was getting good. This was getting good. We already almost at 30 minutes. Okay. Number 6. Okay. Do you think people often confuse potential with reality in relationships?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, I didn't even finish the question. But
so one of my favorite exes from my past.
Not you got a favorite ex. You got a favorite ex?
Favorite exes. But I will never go back. But I remember me and him, we were talking about potential. He was like one of those people who I could talk to about like anything from A to Z. Like I deleted the text thread, but if you saw a text thread, you'd be like, what's going on around here? Right? So we got to the conversation of potential. And so I was a firm believer at the time that potential was something that everybody has and you should be steadfast and like believing in it. And we like went back and forth. No argument, just a debate. We went back for like at least a week, and we talked like every day. Every single day. We talked every day. And he came from the standpoint of like, Bree, everybody has potential. Like, you had the potential to be an astronaut, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean, but you're not an astronaut. Like, you know, you had the potential to be a doctor, but you're not a doctor. So focusing on someone's potential, especially if it's something that you want or you see, is not something that they have vocalized that they want to do. It's not wise to bank on something that somebody wants to do versus looking at what they're actually doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that oftentimes when we look at potential, we see a spark or something in them and we're like, oh yeah, like he has the potential to like be my husband. But does he? Does he have the potential to be your husband just because he provides?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
Like I said
it's
before,
a lot more that go into that.
correct. So just because he can pay some bills that he was gonna pay whether you was there or not,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you know, you're able to buy a few things outside of those things, and you're able to take his card. But like I said before, when y'all have a disagreement, how does he show up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How does he resolve conflict? You know, is he someone who avoids? Is he someone who will change the subject? Is he a person who will sit here and blame you
Right.
for feeling the way that you feel? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, was that purse worth that? Like those are the type of things that you have to think about. But that's what really changed my mind about potential, is that like I can't go in with just a little spark of hope because this person has shown me such little and not look at the bigger picture.
Right.
You got to look at the person as a whole. And there are some things that you can compromise, but I would never suggest you to settle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would never encourage you to settle, but you can compromise.
Yeah.
Because people are going to come with their flaws. People are going to say things you don't like. People are going to do things you don't like. But you have to weigh out the pros and cons of the situation and be like, okay, this annoys me. If you could just decrease this at least half,
right,
that'd be great. That would be amazing. So to ask somebody to eliminate something that they've been doing for X amount of years just because you don't like it and it's not harmful to you or that person who's doing it, then it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like people will feel like you're trying to change them.
Right. Right.
But like, you know, if you can find a way around the situation, then cool. But you have to be able to have that conversation with somebody who's willing to have that conversation with you.
Right. For sure.
So that's how I feel about potential, is that I don't necessarily believe in it as in like it's like solid, but it's more so potential more so for me is more so for a conversation and more questioning. It's like, okay, like you do have the potential to do X, Y, and Z. You do have that. But is that something you want to do?
Right.
Is that, you know what I'm saying? Like we can sit here and throw and tell people like go to therapy. But like if that's not something you want to do, are you okay with who this person is if they don't change anything about themselves?
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what potential is. Potential is like, oh yeah, I can love you eventually. And that's just not what it is. If you can't love that person for who they are today, if they didn't change anything, move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. Okay. Bam. Just go to the next question. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay.
We rolling.
What are some non-obvious red flags that you should look out for in a relationship?
Non-obvious red flags. I don't know. That's a good question. Non-obvious red flags? I don't know. You lost me on that one.
So I will say one thing. I think backhanded compliments.
Okay.
Backhanded compliments are non-obvious red flags. I remember with someone from my past. I identify people here. But I remember I was just like, very confident. I don't know what we were talking about or what the situation was, but I said something about my appearance or something like, oh yeah, like I look good, like I'm that girl, or some Brianka stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, you so arrogant. Oh. Is that what you think? Interesting. At that point, it was just very interesting because like I had a very bad week that week. So that was something that I needed to say out loud to myself.
Right.
To kind of get me back on track. And it was just like, you didn't say like, oh yeah, you do look good. Yeah, this and that. Like there was no like hyping up or nothing. It was just like, yeah.
Was that eventually used in an argument somewhere?
Mm-mm.
Afterwards?
Oh, being arrogant?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the term arrogant, but thinking that I'm smarter or better. So it did show up for sure. And that's what I mean by like not being obvious.
Yeah.
Is that like you'll let something like some people like, oh no, I'm not arrogant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll then engage in downplaying yourself to prove to someone else that you're not arrogant. But it was never about being arrogant.
Right.
It was about a moment in time for me to kind of like
affirm
build
myself
up.
Yeah.
Hype myself up. And as my partner, I thought that you would
do
be
the
on the
same thing.
same.
Right.
Correct. But you did not. You were too busy saying that I was arrogant and dealing with your own. There was something in me that was triggering something in you. That I was right. So I think that that's a whole nother episode. But
because jealousy does exist in relationships.
Absolutely. Those things kind of play in your mind, play in your head. So
my Lord,
because you have your own stuff going on when you're communicating with somebody. You know what I'm saying? You got your own stuff going on in your head, and I got my own stuff. But how I took that from you, but I'm sure that if I had that conversation with that person again, they'll be like, "Oh no, I didn't mean like that." What you mean it like? Because there was no. I mean, I don't know what other way I could take that.
People
being arrogant has never been a compliment.
People and their intentions.
That's another episode. But yeah. But
anywho, right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how else am I supposed to take arrogance? Like,
right.
Because to me, the opposite of confidence is arrogance. So, but that's just an example of non-obvious red flags to me. Did you have another question? I can't remember.
I do, but I think we can wrap it up.
Okay.
So wrap it up. I saw like a commercial.
You wrap it up. You wanted to wrap it up, guys.
I'm the producer. I'm trying to keep us on track. Okay, go ahead. I'm the producer. Yes, I am. I produce.
Well, that is it, guys. We have, don't forget our merch on Instagram and on Facebook. It's in the link. Y'all can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, all of them. So, yeah, that's good. That's it, guys.
Not yet. Bye.
Bye.